So next on stage, quite an impressive presentation come up next as well to teach you all about the spatial internet, extending the multiverse, the metaverse. Yeah, I was thinking Marvel there with multiverse, it's a lot bouncing around, into the physical world. To do that with us is a gentleman who's a metaverse mastermind, World Economic Forum expert contributor, Forbes Technology Council member, and advisor to NEOM, KSA, and EU. Please put your hands together for Kumardev Chatterjee. That's a massive CV. How do you fit it all into LinkedIn? Brilliant.
I just make it up as I go along. Right. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me back there? Okay, brilliant. Right, so thank you for coming to this talk, and thank you for coming to the conference, and obviously thanks to all the conference organizers, particularly Ankit and PK there for having invited me to speak here. So in the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to take you through a journey of what the spatial internet is all about. I think, the word metaverse, and I sympathize with David, has been spoken so many times that meta, multi, mega, they've all sort of merged over the last 2 days. But what exactly is all of this stuff about, and what is it not about? I think it's key to understand that before you can even think about doing anything in the metaverse, whether that's using it or building it or even funding it. And I think a lot of you want to fund it. So let's first start with what the context is. Why are you hearing so much about the metaverse today and you didn't hear about it at all a few years ago, right? If you go back to 2019, pre-pandemic, how many of you have heard of the metaverse pre-pandemic? Oh, one guy out there, right? So what happened? So what basically happened is over the last 2 years, we've had a massive acceleration in digital assets. So in digital payments, entertainment retail, real estate, sales for NFTs. NFTs were great because, back in 2020, I remember 2020, this first quarter of 2020 maybe, or first quarter of 2021, it's about 2 billion in NFT sales reported, including the fake ones, right? At the end of the year, we've got about, what was it, about 17 billion in funds and about 25.2 billion in NFT sales reported, including the fake stuff, right? So if you look at that, there is very few products in the history of recent history of finance and technology that have taken off at that speed, right? And now you have even 14-year-olds making $500,000 or so in NFTs in about 3 months' time. So this radical change has happened in a very, very short period of time, and it's nothing compared to where we're going to go in 2024, and that comes from a number of different studies. But with a CAGR of 47%, you're looking at about 805 billion US dollars, right? So obviously, that has led to the metaverse explosion. It's not the other way around. It's not because we started talking about metaverses that suddenly NFTs took off. No, it's because NFTs took off that there became that context available from a business standpoint that we could build a metaverse and implement what Neil Stephenson said way back. Now, if you're from the Valley, you would have heard the word Neil Stephenson because it's mandatory reading. If you join Facebook, Twitter, any of the Valley companies, tech companies, digital tech companies, you are going to have to mandatorily read Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash, understand what is it that the Valley is actually trying to build, right? Now, here are some of the data. Data is very important. We get lost in the parties and in the hype and in all of that. Data, data, data. Never stray from the data. And that is the sort of data that you're looking at. These are amazing numbers. And if you, at first glance, you look at them and you go, whoa, where is that coming from? But these numbers are coming from the actual powerhouses, the Ernst & Youngs of the world, the Gartners of the world, people who are doing the research, not wide-eyed about NFTs and metaverses, but they're doing the research purely from a business standpoint, right? And I think, when I did this, I think I did this slide about 2 months ago. It's already outdated. Some of the CAGR has gone up. Some of the numbers have just shot through the roof. But this is the market opportunity in a nutshell. So the metaverse, okay, in this particular slide, I put it down as one of the things down there, one of the points. But actually, the metaverse technically could encompass all of that, right? So that's your market opportunity in a nutshell. Who can stay away from that? You've got to be blind, deaf, or a combination. Sorry, I don't mean to be either disrespectful to either community, but just saying you really have to be off your senses to not actually get into this, right? So now, there are different types of players in the space. So you've got the gaming industry. They were actually onto it long before. So Second Life was the first kind of metaverse. Minecraft is kind of like a metaverse. Neither of them are immersive to the extent that you have to be a metaverse, but they're kind of were there, right? And you've got these players, Sony, EA, and the others who are investing. SoftBank just backed, I think, a $2 billion investment into Sony to build their metaverse. Then you've got the so-called people who've rebranded themselves as metaverse players already. So obviously Meta, but Fortnite, Roblox, and NVIDIA. NVIDIA played a little game like saying, oh, we got the Omniverse, which is not exactly a metaverse, it's a set of tools to create metaverses. But it caught on. It caught on, and they got a lot of value out of that. And then you've got people who are building mixed reality ecosystems. Niantic is Pokemon Go in a nutshell. And Microsoft is kind of like the dark horse in the room. It's actually building all the technologies ground up to deliver a metaverse. It's just not marketing it like that. And in fact, within Microsoft today, there isn't a metaverse group. But the technologies to enable that, from the HoloLens, from experiencing the metaverse to actually the data, all the data infrastructure you need to build that, the real-time interaction platforms, they've actually built that. And Apple are doing it, but secretly. You'll hear more about what they're doing in this year. And then you've got the marketplaces, because obviously if you are managing the assets, which are the foundation of a platform, why not build the platform, or why not extend into the platform? It's a natural next step play, right? So these are the four major sort of players in this space. But I want to take you for a second back into, let's think about why we're even talking about spatial internet. What is the spatial internet? Now that I've given the context, what's the spatial internet? Anybody? No? Okay. So, big word to just say something very simple, blend the digital and the physical. So the spatial internet is not about connecting physical objects onto the internet. That's mostly the IoT side. It's not about the digital part of the internet, which is the normal thing. It is about blending the two. So the idea is that if you can merge time and space in a way in which you're able to provide a platform where you can transcend that, I'm not talking about in the space way, not like, not going through black holes and things like that. I'm talking here about bringing together those elements that make up our reality. Our reality is made mostly by space and time. How much time does it take me to move here, and what space did I move into? That is the basis of most of our reality, right? So, but that reality, if you want to execute that, if you want to build a Dubai tomorrow, it's going to take you 20 to 30 years if you can actually get there. Because the speed of execution is limited by the complexity of building that. In the digital world, in the coding world, we understand that. Building anything technologically is hard, and so we iterate and we iterate and we iterate, and any layer of code that you see today has been built on 20 years of previous iterations of code, right? But in the physical world, it's not always like that, right? And you still have a lot of complexity, and the more interactive, the more, let's say, immersive you want to build physically, the more complex it gets exponentially, right? But what if you could diminish that delay of physical construction while increasing the revenues and reducing the financial risk? What if you could go and live in an apartment before it was actually built? What if you could buy and live in an apartment and use it to generate income before the apartment was even designed properly? That is the promise of the spatial internet. That is what the metaverses will really get to, right? So that is one fundamental sort of problem that can be solved by the spatial internet that cannot be solved by either the physical internet, as we call it, or the existing digital internet, right? So to me, the fundamentals of a real metaverse, and with all due respect to everybody who spoke here and the others, we can argue tonight over drinks about what a real metaverse is. But to me, a real metaverse has to have the four elements. You need to have a digital twin of something physical. Whether that physical thing has been built or is being built or will be built, there has to be a physical reference point for what you're building online. It's not just building a fantasy world where you can live in. We tried that and we failed. Why? Because at some point, the fantasy isn't big enough or good enough to keep you immersed forever. The never-ending story, Second Life, even Minecraft, at some point you drop off. Decentraland, same issue. Go and play Decentraland this weekend. It'll take you 2 hours or more to go around the corner, and it'll be more than 5 or 6 people. I'll be surprised, right? So you've got to connect it to what's happening in real life or what is likely to happen in real life to actually make that work. Number two, building on that integrated mixed reality. If I could talk to somebody here and his hologram, and I could be talking to that hologram, and that hologram could be speaking to me, and you could be watching that whether you're here or your hologram could be watching the platform, what is the value of that? Exponentially more than just one person doing this, right? Think about it. Think about the fact that if you could blend the two realities in the sense that it doesn't matter anymore whether you're physically in a spot or whether you're digitally in that spot. What is the value of that? You could transcend thousands, hundreds of kilometers in nanoseconds in your hologram because that could transport, but your physical body can't. So that integration, of course, today you need to have headsets for that, but headsets will be passé in about 2 years. There are companies, and some of them are highly stealth, but highly advanced in just glasses like that. And I'll be able to see you and 100 other people sitting in these chairs. They're holograms, and they will be able to see me similarly. That's the real blending. Social platform. You need to have a social platform. And the metaverse is not a lonely, one-man, lone star kind of place. It is the social aspect of that, the human aspect of that will be very critical. This is what Meta is betting on, which is why when they first talked about the metaverse, they were like, what is your social media platform? What do you want to do with gaming and virtual? No, you don't get it. It's not about gaming and virtual. It's about creating the same social experience on the platform and extending it that you might be able to do physically, right? Gamified experience, you can't just have buildings where you walk in and you meet somebody and pick up a token. That's boring. That's PUBG. That's like 2019, right? It's got to be gamified. You've got to have a sense of what are you doing? Is there a competition? Are you working with somebody else? Is there some collaboration? Is there a reward? And what are those rewards? And that's where the monetization comes in, right? Digital marketplace and real-time translation. In the interest of time, I'll talk to you guys later about it. Digital marketplace, everyone here knows what that is. Real-time translation. You have to be able to move away from typing. Not type. It breaks the immersive experience. Speak and touch. The natural senses should be replicated, right? Here's some of the target users that metaverse platforms are going after. So I'll tell you at the end what I do, but I'm actually building a metaverse platform. The different metaverse platforms, again, with all due respect, a metaverse platform is not something you can build in a few months. And it's not a conference, it's not a 3D website, and it's not somewhere where you can just go and chill out. Metaverse platform is serious technology, serious business, serious money. And there are only a few companies in the world today, and governments, a few governments in the world today, who are actually building real metaverses. Everyone else, is in the game, and that's great. May there many flowers bloom, but to build a serious metaverse, you need serious money and time and effort. But these are some of the things that you can do in terms of targeting your audience. The platform economics are the obvious way. The more time you spend on the metaverse, the more the revenue. Very simple. Spend hours on the metaverse, and that's how this thing will work. So, happy to talk to you guys later about the use case in detail, but all of these use cases, they are based on the concept of blending virtual and physical. So today you can do NFT monetization. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about what if you could do NFT monetization in real time, digitally and physically? Can you actually have a physical version of an NFT? What is a physical version of an NFT? Yeah? So, of course, the advertising aspect, that's number one use case. I'm sorry, number two use case. Number one is this thing I just talked about, fractional ownership. Go and buy an apartment with NFTs or with your Coinbase balance. Once you get to a certain threshold, the developer will build that apartment for you. That gives you time to actually buy that over a 2-year period and design it as you like, and it gives the developer revenues well before they build the apartment. Today, a typical apartment developer will get his revenue back like 6-7 years. With this model, he gets it back sometimes even before the apartment has even been built, right? So it shortens construction time, and it also shortens the delivery time. And there are a lot of models around this that are being worked on right now, which I'll go into some detail. I really have 1 minute left. Some of the numbers here, but that was just to say that all those things I talked about on the monetization side, they are backed up by actual numbers and research. It's not just stuff that we've come off the top of our head, right? And this entire value chain. There are a lot of experts in NFTs and coin and crypto in this room and in this conference, but that's the kind of ecosystem or the value chain that you're looking to implement in the metaverse. So this is why, as I said in the beginning, the metaverse encompasses the ecosystem, right? All of the different layers, wherever you're playing in that value chain, you can make your living of the metaverse. So thank you for I have about 30 years, thank you for that. So one of the things I didn't want to say in the beginning, but in the end, I am building the new metaverse. So that is a huge project. South Korea is building the South Korean metaverse. Singapore is building the Singaporean metaverse. I'm doing it for NEOM and KSA. But I think that's not the most important thing. The most important thing to understand is that if you were looking to do one thing in this decade, do it on the metaverse one way or another. And don't doubt yourself, don't look back. There will always be those people who will say whatever it is that they have to say. But there is no doubt that this decade and the one after belongs to the metaverse. Thank you.